design can be very intimidating. Let's not be so serious about it. Like, let's make it fun. There's a place for everyone to have whatever they want in their homes and what speaks to them. That's what the couch doctors do. They will cut a couch in half.
Is it seamless?
You don't know. I judge the Design Bites panel. We actually awarded the brand with the biggest bite to a toilet.
Oh my gosh. Okay, do tell. Welcome, Danielle. You are an amazing human being.
Wow.
You, I don't have words. Our paths have crossed a lot this year, and I'm so glad you're here at Home Therapy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad our paths have crossed so many times this year. It's been a delight getting to know you better and working together and tackling all the design questions that kind of come up.
Well, we last were supposed to meet at KBiz. That was my first time, and talk about overwhelming. There was so much overstimulation and all good things, of course. How was your experience with that this year?
Oh my gosh, KBIS was a blur. I loved every minute of it, but I will say, I feel like this year I was just running around the whole time and didn't get to really sit like at any booth or like take it all in. I was just kind of run, 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 go, go, go. But I guess you do that when you get home, right? You kind of like make connections. Oh, I saw this, I saw that, or like, oh, everyone had green, or different things like that. You can do a little bit of that work at home, but man, it was very inspiring. I heard it was their biggest show ever. I think there were like over 100,000 people in town for it, which is wild. Biggest footprint ever. I know this because I have friends that do PR for the show. And you and I both got to do panels. I was doing a judging and you were doing a panel. So there were lots of like exciting events.
So it's good to hear that this was the biggest one, and that's why it was so intense. Because I'm like, is this every year? I mean, we have friends and designers and networking. We know people that go every year. This was my first year. I mean, it was exciting, but very like, I didn't have time to take everything in and to see friends. But so what kind of judging did you do for was it a certain contest or?
Yeah, so it was exciting. I judged the Design Bites panel, it's a fun KBiz initiative with the NKBTA, and they kind of pick a bunch of up and coming and established like vendors, and it's just like Shark Tank. They come on, they get 2 minutes
No
to pick.
way.
Yeah, myself and two other designers actually were the judges this year. So they have 2 minutes to pitch their product. It could be a new launch, it could be a collection, it could be something that's more decorative, something like brand new technology. It kind of runs the gamut. And it's very much like Shark Tank. They're with their cue cards and they have a presentation behind them. And there's just so much energy. And there's like that little bit of like frenetic energy too, because the clock is counting down and they're trying to get their pitch across. It was really fun. All of the companies had such great things. We actually awarded the brand with the biggest bite to a toilet.
Oh my gosh. Okay, do tell.
But it's kind of a groundbreaking toilet. It has like overflow controls built into it. You never have to worry about like an overflowing toilet and like what that could do to your tile, all the other things that you spend so much in your bathroom for and want to keep it looking its best. So again, not the sexiest, but the presenter had such a good sense of humor about it. And I think that goes a long way. And it did really feel like something that the judges and I hadn't seen before. So I think that's sort of why it took the cake. But we were all saying there needs to be like an aesthetic award too. Like they do a audience pick and then they do whatever they think is just the best. Like we pick it as the judges, what's the best. But I think that they should separate into like technology versus like an aesthetic winner too, because good design it comes in a lot of different packages. And sometimes you just want to talk about a beautiful object too.
Absolutely. I'm sure you stopped by Kohler's booth, but did you
Oh,
see the
yeah.
different colored toilets there? There was pink and green. I've seen black before, but I hadn't seen an updated modern pink, the green as well. And I thought, oh, this is so interesting.
Did you love it?
I think if it was to be, because a lot of the toilets are in toilet rooms, so it's not like it could be showcased like in a booth.
It's true.
I did like it for a statement piece. There was a tug and pull because it's like, okay, statement piece, but most of our homes are, yeah, in a toilet room, unless we make the toilet room fantastic, like it would be hidden.
I think maybe you could do like a powder room with one and have it just
Yes.
like a little jewel, I guess, on your,
Yes.
first floor, maybe on your ground floor, somewhere that people are using it. But the kitchen sinks were cool too, like the green ones that they had just that pop of color and,
Yes.
maybe it doesn't even have to different, so you're just seeing it when you look over, so that was fun. I love seeing color come back. Sometimes I think it's a little more editorial than, like, practical, but there are definitely people who are, like, doubling down on all things color now, and I love to see it.
Well, I have a huge surprise to
Oh,
show you after our episode. I wallpapered our whole kitchen with York floral. So I'm gonna have to show you. And you need to be honest with me because my audience is loving it. My sister absolutely abhors it.
she's not feeling it.
She said, "Anita, I have to say," she was all serious. She's like, "I just,
She's like, "I saw your wallpaper."
yeah." She's like,
You could hear it in her voice. Like,
I really think it's wrong. It's a mistake. And it threw me into a little of a tailspin, like, oh my God, like it might, it made me self-doubt a little bit. But every
yeah.
morning when I come downstairs, Danielle, I am so happy. So I want your opinion later. And maybe we could share it with the apartment therapy audience. I don't know.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
let me know.
Well, we love
But
a good before and after, you know that because 'cause we've
yeah,
looked at
because the
this before.
before is very modern. It's the kitchen that you featured when my book came out.
Yes, with the beautiful tile.
So we'll get to that. For my listeners who are so curious about you and your background, I'm just curious, were you always in the design world before you got to apartment therapy? How did your home therapy story come about?
Yes and no. I feel like I didn't have the most linear path, but I didn't have, like, a different career. I just kind of found myself, like, to design, and it took a little bit of time, and I've covered the home more broadly, I think, for my whole career, but if we really wanna take it back and, how did I sort of get into this line of work to begin with, I always loved art. I always loved art class. I liked writing. I kinda knew that
Mm,
I wanted to do something related to that, but I don't think I really knew that being a design writer was a thing. I just knew I sort of liked different aspects of design and art, making things and crafting and all that kind of stuff. The bug bit me early and it makes sense that I ended up here, but it was sort of showing itself early. I should have thought. And it's kind of cliche at this point. And I'm curious if this describes you too, because obviously I know you've worked in a completely different discipline. Yeah, exactly. But as a kid, I don't know. I feel like a lot of designers are like this, and I was like this. I was obsessed with like rearranging my room and like redoing things and like what's the new paint. And I used to go with my mother to, the upholsterer. We were doing dining room chairs. Like, I don't know, I feel like I'm an old soul. I'm like, yeah, mom, I love this like white on white stripe. Let's go for it. We redid the dining room. She wanted the whole dining room to like be different. And I don't know why we chose white because it's probably not the best color for a dining room, but we also I think I also grew up it was instilled to me to, like, kinda take care of my things. I know this is mostly an audio podcast, but you can probably see these green chairs behind me right there. Those are Henredon chairs from 1978 that my parents got when they first got
wow.
married, and, like, they're just in such great condition because just always, like, kind of instilled in me to, like, buy quality, take care, obviously get some budget finds in there too, which I love doing, but I remember being little and going and getting the big wallpaper books, like, it used to not be the little samples, like, it would be those
Oh, they were like big 3-ring binders.
oh my
Yes.
gosh, like a workout, just, like, bringing them home. She would go to the, like, hardware store, the different, like, showrooms and get those and bring them home, and I think I used to go to the Home Depot with my dad and get, like, the paint chips, but they used to be on wood, like, I don't know, I guess I was, like, collecting all these things. I've always been into collecting too, and probably should have known that design was maybe an option, but it just didn't really, like, click. I remember redoing my bedroom with my mom, and we painted clouds, and I did like an early murals are so big with the apartment therapy, like painted murals on the walls.
Yes.
The apartment therapy audience
Mhm.
loves them. And I think to myself, well, gosh, I did one of these. Like when I was probably 12, we used placemats. They were like little placemats that look like
Oh.
flowers. And I drew stems and did like a whole garden theme. So
Oh my
super,
gosh.
super cute. I guess maybe ahead of my time.
Everyone that I talk to, whether it's a guest or just in conversation, it's really interesting. I mean, I'm just dubbing it as creatives. We are
Yeah.
all creatives. I feel like there's never a coincidence. So all the things that you just described has paved the path to the one that you're on now. And it's
Yeah.
so interesting and lovely to see how we all landed in different areas. So for you, you loved writing. For you, your role makes total sense. It's so interesting to me because we all pivoted at some point. Isn't that funny? Like, it could be little pivots or it could be a hard right. Like for me, if
Yeah.
it's a natural pivot in some sense, but in another
But
sense, it's a
still
total 180, right?
different, yeah. It's a good extension, I feel like, for what you were doing. It's a great extension, and you kind of are, like, synthesizing and putting it all together, and I think for me, you're exactly right. Like, I always kinda knew design was interesting, and I loved it, and I loved art, but I it didn't click that I could write about design for a living, but all that took was going to journalism school. I graduated from Columbia, got an internship at Time Inc., and then I ended up at This Old House magazine, and that
Oh,
sort of is where the
wow.
bug bit, and again, I keep saying that where the bug bit, but yeah, the design bug. I just loved everything decorative there. I gravitated towards the columns that they did that, had to do with shopping for your home for like hardware, lights. We did everything. We did mailboxes, we did switch plates, like all the kind of like tactile points in a house or hardware-esque type finishes, both probably magazine and sort of crash course in decorating and definitely like vintage design too. I owe so much to so many of the editors there, and that's where I first got my start. And then I went on to kind of work more in like women's lifestyle and eventually at Rachel Ray Food Magazine, but I did all of the not food
Oh.
stuff, which was fun, a little bit more
Mhm.
variety there. But when I got the chance to come to apartment therapy, that's where I think things have really crystallized for me in the past like 4.5 years. I was writing for the site before, really enjoyed it, but had moved more towards food. And when a position opened up and I luckily got it, it just was like, this is perfect. This is like the stuff that I've been enjoying covering the most, but has been a little more secondary because I was doing sort of everything more from like the kitchen lens. I love kitchens, so we can definitely talk about those too. But it was nice to sort of bring it back to trend and designer and, what are the paint colors and finishes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's sort of how I got to where I am today. The Cliff's Notes version of it, and I probably talked a little too much anyway.
Oh, no, you didn't. I think that listeners love learning. One of the biggest questions, obviously, with me is how did you become from a therapist to a designer? And I think there's a
Right,
lot of people itching to be creative, itching to be more artful, but they don't know how to do the transition. And it not necessarily
right.
has to transition into full blown career, but I think a lot of people are just curious what other people's paths have been to get into the creative realm. So this is a really amazing story, and it's funny how hindsight is 2020. It all makes sense now, right? Your story just makes
Yeah.
total
Yeah.
sense. So in the last 4.5 years at apartment therapy, what's the most fun part of your job as a editorial director that gets you out of bed every day, that makes you excited?
Gosh, so many things. I think, at the end of the day, we're like all about service. At Apartment Therapy, we want to provide solutions and tips for readers that make homes happier, healthier, just like your place, the place that you want to be, your refuge, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit of everything. It's wanting to inspire people, it's being inspired by people and wanting to sort of share their stories and put them up on, not a pedestal, but like a platform, give them a platform, give people a resource for sharing ideas both ways. I think some of our audience and readers are the smartest people when it comes to decorating. While I love the designer pieces and, pieces led by expert advice, I think it totally goes both ways. We see so much in our house tours that's just so smart. And even with our staff, everybody's really like genuinely passionate about the home and everyone has such great ideas, which is just really inspiring and uplifting and makes it fun to come to work every day. But yeah, and I think really like honestly, just the idea that design can be very intimidating, it can be very unwelcoming, it can feel very exclusionary at times, I think too. And I think
Mhm.
what we're all about at apartment therapy is like, let's not be so serious about it. Like, let's make it fun. Let's figure out what works for us. Let's not judge others. Let's all like, there's a place for everyone to have whatever they want in their homes and what speaks to them. And I think bringing it back to even trends, I'm just loving all of the highly personalized like spaces, all the beautiful pattern behind you. And like you said, your wallpaper in your kitchen, just if it speaks to you, it doesn't matter if it's a trend. I'm happy to show you the trends because there are thorough lines there that you can draw a lot of things look to the past. There's so much fun in kind of going down a rabbit hole and like talking about trends and why they sort of resurge or where they come from. Love all of that and love kind of doing that for our readers and our audience too. But I think at the end of the day, it's really about like what works for you and what makes you happy. And I think our goal is to show real people living in real homes. You know, they're generally not
100%.
styled. Our house tours are very, very real. Just give people ideas. What can you take from this and what do you add to it? What's your spin on something? So it's just so creative. To your point, you get to see other people's creativity kind of highlight that, which I love.
I think you guys do a stupendous, excellent
Thank you.
job on everything you've said. For me, as a longtime apartment therapy fan, that's what drew and continues to draw me to your content is relatability. It's not fancy schmancy edited homes. It's
Right.
very lived in homes, and that's been consistent throughout all the years. It was a pleasure meeting Maxwell, in New York in person, but also we did the judging together with Bobby Berg. And that was
Yes,
really an exciting moment as well to meet the person behind the vision and the passion.
absolutely.
It's really the lived in, which we know is a trend right now, right? Very
Yeah,
personalized. But I feel
we're
like you
ahead of
guys
the
have been
curve.
doing that. You guys have been doing that for years. I mean, from the beginning, in my opinions. I understand too that you have your own home now that you are working on. Cool to hear about the parents' chairs that you've inherited. And tell me more about your house. Like, where are you at now with that? And what kind of home therapy moments are you trying to intentionally add in?
Oh my gosh, I think I need you. I need some help.
I am here for you.
Yeah, you're here. I have you on speed dial, which is great.
Yes.
I feel a little bit like the shoemakers kids that have no shoes. Like I love design so much and I feel like I have such a gut instinct and I'm so decisive when it comes to like this is a trend, spotting a trend. This is what we should do. This is what we should cover. But then when it comes to my own house, like I do feel like a little debilitated by all of the choices. And I'm trying. I'm trying to like if you don't like it, it's fine. You can change it, but you don't want to be wasteful and budget is always a concern too. So, oh man, do you have time? The laundry list of projects is quite long. You got a couple hours.
Sexy things that you have to put your budget towards, like updating your electric panel. That's one thing I have to do, and we've just been putting off, but it's several thousands of dollars, yet very necessary.
I know. I was just telling someone the other day that like we need to get a couch doctor in here, which I don't know if you're familiar with, but in New York, they're such a big thing. A lot of times the openings of doors, and my house is a 1928 kind of neo-colonial, like has a little bit of like bungalow elements or some craftsman-y type stained glass, and we have some built-ins. So it's kind of a little bit of a hybrid of
Mhm.
a house. So trying to go a little bit like vintage meets modern with it, which I love because that's kind of my style anyway. But I say all this to say that my door openings are small. So we're having trouble getting the sofa that we want to put on our third floor. We have like a little it's kind of like a finished attic up there and wanted to kind of turn it into like a little bit of a lounge space. It has to be sawed. That's what the couch doctors do. They will cut a couch in half and then they have to take the fabric off and then they put the fabric back on.
Wait, wait, wait. They cut the couch in half.
Yeah, they cut the frame.
But okay, oh my god, my mind is blown. So when they put it back together, is it seamless? Is it
You don't know. You literally don't know. I mean, I think there are certain fabrics that it's probably trickier. Luckily, this is just a regular upholstered kind of probably a cotton blend, kind of a darker blue. It's pretty sofa. So I don't think that the fabric is going to be that tricky, but I'm sure leathers and different patterns are probably tricky. But these folks are true craftsmen. They are like wizards, magicians, but it costs a lot of money. And I've just been like putting it off and my husband is like, we need a place to sit up there. Get it together. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, but, like, do I really wanna pay someone to, like"
cut your couch in half?
I guess it's gonna come to that, but I hear what you mean. It's definitely
Wow.
a balance between the practical and, like, the pretty and trying to figure out what you wanna, like, put your dollars towards, and there are a lot of
Mhm,
practical things that happen even in our first year of living here. We've only been here for a little bit over a year, and we've done some
mhm,
things. We've painted a little
mhm.
bit. The room behind me was, like, a darker brown before, so we took that, like, white just for, like, a palette cleanser when we first moved in. The room I'm sitting in now and that I work in is fair and ball, I think blue green, so it's, like, a little bit of more of a color color-drenched space, but there's projects everywhere. Some of my ceilings are like the kind you'd find in some of them are beautiful, and we have one that's a couple that are beadboard, like it's sort of a mishmash.
Oh,
Some that are
interesting.
beadboard and cute, which I love and I would keep. And then upstairs, almost like a tin ceiling like look, but not tin. It's more of like a pressed product, but I really like the way it looks because it has that vintage appeal. But down here, we don't have popcorn, but we have kind of like the office ceiling that you remember from like the office building maybe you worked in at some point in your life. So the room I'm sitting in now and the dining room have that. And I'm like, we have to do that. I feel like visually we have to do it, but it's like one of those things that's kind of at the end of my list because I'm sort of, oh, but I want to focus on like new lighting and all the fun stuff. So we want to redo the bathrooms, we want to redo the kitchen, but not all at the same time. I think we're going to take things like one by one. There's just so many projects, little, big.
I'm going to challenge you a little bit. Based on all the experience that you've written to your audience, people like me, the flip side is you as a homeowner. What would you tell Danielle homeowner? How would you prioritize it? Are there any advice, tips, or tricks on prioritizing budget and aesthetics? Because that's what I do. Every time I meet a client, the tough conversation is you can send me all the great inspo, all the great Pinterest, but
Right.
what's your budget? And then from there, it's like, how do we prioritize pretty and the practical? I'm so curious with your myriad of experience, what would your advice to be us to be about prioritizing?
What I'm gonna say is probably similar to what maybe you say or what a lot of designers say. I think you really do wanna put your dollars towards the pieces that you're using, like, day in and day out. A nice quality sofa, buy the best that you can afford because 'cause you're going to be sitting on that, you're gonna have people over, you'll be entertaining on it. Something like I went with a leather sofa from Article. I love it, but it's nice because it also patinas over time, and I'm okay with that look, like, as long as you know that the lived in is what it's gonna kinda get, it'll only get better with age if you're, like, okay with that. And then I also think lighting. I think lighting is one of the first things that you should do, and it actually is one of the things that we've done in most every room is switched out the lighting. Not only should you think about the bulbs and, what kinda light you work best in and pick sort of a bulb that's gonna do that, whether it's daylight or if you like warm light, or maybe you can get something that's adjustable because certainly now there's plenty of affordable LEDs on the market where you can do that. But a tip with lighting, you really shouldn't have different bulbs in different rooms. It should be the same thing throughout the house. So that's a place that, again, isn't the sexiest place to spend. You want to spend on the beautiful fixture too, which I think is worth it, but also just going through and replacing all of your light bulbs and getting like a color temperature consistency from room to room because that's going to make your whole space feel so much more cohesive. And if you can't do it all at once, you could do it room by room, floor by floor, and just kind of work through it. So I think definitely like the anchor furniture and the lighting is where to spend and then save, all the accessories, all the fun stuff. You can find such good artwork, pottery, all different types of decorative books at thrift stores, flea markets, places like Goodwill. We have Housing Works in New York. That's, another resource. Just any kind of local place. Even garage sales were sort of warming up a little bit here, though today has been kind of cold in the Northeast, but I'm excited for like yard and garage sales to kind of like happen and stoop sales.
Yeah. Oh yeah, stoop sales. That's so
Stoop
fun.
sales. Yeah.
When you're talking about lighting, are you also referring to recessed lighting? Because I know that's a very divisive topic. I made an unpopular opinion video content recently about how much I love putting in recessed lighting for clients.
Oh my gosh, you're a recess lighting girly? Okay.
Sometimes you just need uniformed in a especially a multifunctional room, and maybe because I have kids and things and there's different people doing different things in one room, we need like a overall lighting that is conducive to tasks. A lot of my clients don't realize that, but then it's 99, no, I think it's 100%. Their reaction is, "Why didn't we do this sooner?"
I think it's one of those things that you don't know how good it can be until you have it, and it's gonna be costly if you don't already have, like, cans in your home, but I think depending on how you wanna use a room, it could be a very good source of budget or sort of a place to channel your dollars, or to put your dollars into, I guess. I don't have any in this house because it is more of, like, a historic home, but I'm also not as anti big light, and I think that that's kinda where that comes in, like, the big lights, the recessed lights, like, people just
Yes.
don't like overheads in general. I think they're just using the wrong bulbs, because put this on a dimmer, I have a mid-century-esque looking, chandelier pendant-y type situation over my left shoulder for those of you who are not viewing this, on video, and I like to put it on a lot. I think it's just like, get a dimmer, get a bulb that can kinda go in between super bright blaring and, off, right? Like, you're just using the wrong bulbs. There is a time and a place for the overhead light.
I agree. Because another thing about having a whole bunch of small or medium lighting, unless it's very intentional, it starts looking really cluttered.
Yeah, too many floor lamps, too many table lamps.
There's a design to it that will make it look cohesive in the room, or it just looks like I know you've seen this before where there's floor lamp and a desk lamp all in a corner for somebody's desk and then the rest of the room is dark. Like it's very uneven.
Yeah, it's not great for creating balance, and I do think that's another thing that, to your point, the overheads can do, whether you choose recessed or just a big light or whatever.
I see floor lamps and table lamps and mini lamps in the I love it in the kitchen and things like that
Right.
as, like, secondary, but if you really wanna get done things done in the house, like, no-brainer, and honestly, it's always less money than what people think.
Yeah, oh, well, that's good to know.
It's not super like, it's super clean, like, when they take make the holes in the ceiling, the drywall, they
It's
are
small.
so professional about it, and again, less money than you think. Just like punching a hole, in a wall for a window, we think it's exorbitant amounts of money, but if you find a professional who can do it right, quality work, it's
Right.
really not it's money, but to me, punching out a window and letting the natural light in or having some recessed lighting in a dark room so that you can actually get your tasks done.
And it's, like, mood too, like, obviously, you don't always want bright lights on, but the last place that I lived, my New York City apartment, I liked it, and I think I did, the best that I could do with it, but there were so many challenges. I mean, I have challenges here too, but just different, like, chief of them being it was dark. It was a rear-facing apartment, which was great because it was on a major avenue, so it wasn't loud, but they put up one of those mega condo towers right on the end of the street, and then there went what little light I got to begin with, because there was really only one pretty large window in the living room, one in the bedroom, and then one in the kitchen and the bathroom, but those ones were tiny in the kitchen and bath, so we really needed what we were getting because we weren't getting that much, and then the condo just made it that much worse, and there are ways to work around it, obviously, use lighter colors, even your rugs should be, like, lighter, which presents other challenges, it's always a trade-off, but, that was a big thing for me when searching for a house, like, somewhere to buy, I was like, "It has to have good natural light."
How does that now that you've gone from a home that had minimal lighting and now, I mean, I could see it in the back of your screen, or your home, it
Right.
definitely yeah, there's way more light. How has that just impacted your overall being? I'm so curious. If you can describe it in feelings or experiences. How's that changed your living?
Yeah, no, I think it really, like, energizes you, it does, there's something about seeing the sun, I think, coming in the windows that just sort of perks you up a little bit, and I think it keeps me going during the day because we do work from home a little bit too now, I mean, I know a lot of people do post-pandemic, some obviously maybe never were able to because just the industry doesn't allow that, but for those of us who can kind of fit that into our work days, it's great to have the nice natural light because that kinda keeps me going. It's the mid-afternoon slump, right? Like, but if I see some pretty sunlight coming through the window, then I'm like, "Let me write one more story."
It makes for me, I struggle with seasonal affect disorder, so
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference. Growing up in Seattle
yeah. Oh, yeah.
was such a struggle, but now in Southern California, I can get by a little longer. I am a big light girly, totally controversial, unpopular, but that's okay. I stand by it.
I like that. It's good to have a hot take every now and then, I think.
Yeah, of course. Besides light, I want to talk about color because
Okay.
apartment therapy to me is one of the most colorful platforms, for design and things. You guys are really you dare to go into different patterns and colors. I think a lot of people are drawn to it. I'm thinking about color drenching my primary bedroom.
Oh, wow. I feel like you use color and you use it so beautifully, but in a more neutral sort of way, so I'm curious.
I'm entering a new era, Danielle.
Okay,
I'm
I love that for you.
So I've done it a couple times with clients. It's always a little bit it's still with muted paint colors. One was a teenage girl's ballerina room, and we
Oh,
did a really pretty gray undertone lilac, and it was
so
beautiful.
pretty. Purples are so big too, I feel like they're coming on.
Any advice for people who are still a little bit cautious about color? Obviously, we wouldn't recommend just color drenching right away. But if they do want to color drench like me, are there any caveats? Does
Yeah.
sizing of the room matter? What is your take?
I think if you're sort of trying to dabble or like dip your toe into color, maybe color drenching isn't the right thing for you, but I do think it could be done in a powder room. I was actually just having a discussion with one of my coworkers earlier today who wants to paint her bathroom black, and her friends were like, absolutely not. And I was like, one, you should do it because like you have white tile, so it's going to balance it out just like perfectly. Also, they can come visit, but they don't have to live in this bathroom. This is your bathroom. You do it the way you want to do it. But I was like, but I would suggest doing black for the ceiling too, like to make it really enveloping. And I think that that's what you can do. She won't be color drenching because she's going to have other colors kind of at work with the tile. And I think she
Mhm.
wants to accent with like a light pink, which is not to say that you can't accent with color drenching, but I think it's got to be like full walls. But I would say do it the way that you've sort of described, right? Choose something that's sort of a neutral. Maybe you do it with a lovely like taupish color. Like you can still color drench with neutrals, right? And do it in a place like a powder room or, a small office or somewhere that feels like you can kind of test it out before going full blown with like bright red walls in your living room, which there's a
Yeah.
time and place for that too. And certainly people have done color drenched rooms that are very like bold like that, like very, very bold. But I think if you're more color averse, you should sort of like try it out first and always like see what colors you like with accessories. We always say look at your closet. That can be a good indicator of like a color that you might want to try.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's like just it's if you wear it, you probably gravitate towards it for a reason. You either like how it looks on you or you like it in general. So it's not too far-fetched to think that if you put it on your walls or you buy a sofa in a dark green, if you like green, that you wouldn't be into it. I think you would. So I think it's just like sticking to what feels a little familiar to get your bearings with color and then building out from there.
My primary bedroom where it already has kinda like a sea green, sea blue green paneled walls. What is your take on painting ceilings, wallpapering ceilings? So maybe not color drenching, but using your ceiling as a accent.
Yeah, like the fifth wall, we like to say. I think a lot of
Mhm,
designers say the ceiling is fifth wall.
mhm.
Yeah, I love it. I would do it in the room that I'm sitting in right now, except this is the room that has, like, those tiles on the.
Oh, yeah. That's so weird that your ceiling has office tiles.
It's not what you always think of in residential or, like, in homes, but we'll pull it out eventually. But, no, I love a ceiling that's painted or a wallpapered ceiling. I think it's just such a surprise when you look up and you see, like, something fun there, whether it's a pattern or just a pop of color. I also think you can do it in a subtle way too if that's sort of more your speed. You can take the paint color that's on your walls or on your trim and then, take it down a step or take it up a step in saturation and go a little bit
Mhm.
darker if you want or a little bit lighter. I think sometimes a little bit darker on the ceiling will create more of a cocoon or like cozy effect. But if you want to open things up a little bit, if you took the same color on your walls and trim, if you were matching everything and then, you know, cut the saturation by like a couple percentages and they can do that, at the paint store. It sounds hard in the abstract when you're talking about it, but they know exactly. They just take the formula like a little bit lighter and then you get just such a nice, soft, subtle contrast because it's just a little bit different than the walls. I love those like little differences, like the things that you kind of like notice when your eye really gets to rest on something and kind of like take it all in. And then you're like, I thought it was all the same color, but in fact, it's not. Like, I love those little like surprise moments, like Easter eggs
Do
anyone.
too, and even I know a lot of designers do this. I was going to do it with actually, I did do it, to come to think of it, for a DIY Murphy bedroom for a client. We made the Murphy bed high gloss, so it was
Ooh, yes, yeah.
colored blue in the room, but we made the Murphy bed itself high gloss, so even using a different sheen.
Yeah, and that's always good for furniture too, like to kick it up a sheen. I feel like that's a great tip, or your obviously your trim a lot of times, even though matte's been so popular. I think sheen's coming back too. Like for a while people weren't doing, but I think with the color drenching too, like you think of those rooms that like a Miles Red would do, or like just the very like lacquered, high gloss, just look liquid look rooms. I think that's sort of like where color drenching probably came from if we did like tracing the origins of it, those types of jewel boxy type rooms that are just so high gloss. So it's fun to see some of these things kind of coming back with like different names and all that kind of thing.
It's just like fashion, right?
Oh,
Design and
totally.
fashion kind of are very similar. It's very cyclical that way. We don't always get a chance to chat like this. I really cherish it. And so I'm going to ask you something a little bit more personal, but still related, which is for you, Danielle, just as a person, as a human being, what is your favorite way to find therapy at home? What is your favorite go to? It could be really something wacky, eccentric. It doesn't have to be super formal, but what is just your ultimate relaxation mode at home?
Gosh, I'm kind of boring about the way that I relax, but I don't think there's a boring way to relax. I think like I love reading books. I like to do it sometimes in my bathtub. It just depends. I love a good bath. I am a bath girly.
Okay, good. I am too.
Into the spa vibes. I know some people just like they're very baths can be very polarizing, and I know
And isn't it surprising, like, for us who love baths, isn't it surprising? Like, I'm always surprised. I never think of it as bathing in dirty water, but they do.
me either, but I guess if they really need to get over that fear, they can just shower first, take a quick rinse, and then try the bath. I think that they haven't tried it, or they haven't given it a shot. I do like to read. I like to take baths. I sometimes like to combine the two. So when we're putting together our bathroom upstairs, like our sort of primary bath upstairs, well, it's in the hall, so it's kind of the everything bath upstairs because again, it's an old house. I don't think suites really existed, but or en suites really existed back when it was built. There's like a little area where there's like a built-in, and I really want to turn it into a bookshelf. Find a way to make that work because I feel like they are things that you don't think would work together very well because you don't want your books getting wet or humidity, that kind of thing. But I'm gonna try to make it work because I love that. I think self-care, like that's a trend everyone can get behind. So that's sort of my version of that.
And that's exactly what we were talking about in the beginning of the conversation, which is making your home yours. Who cares if that closet or nook was defined by the builder, one way? You can totally change it to another. For me, we're always battling with builder grade homes here in Southern California.
Yes.
Or at least in a master plan community, making the living room a pool table room for teenagers because that's where the family's at. That's what we're gonna do, and it makes people so happy, Danielle. Like,
Yeah, and to be home too, right?
why can't we make this room work for us? And it's just a very freeing feeling. So,
Yes, and a freeing mindset when you think like that. We did a story once about, someone who switched their living room with their bedroom, and it didn't totally make sense in the structure of the person's apartment, but that's what and, like, the flow and that kinda thing, but it worked for whatever other reason. I don't remember if it was lighting or I think she was a creative too, so she was doing some maybe podcast. I don't know if she was doing podcasting or recipe development or something, but she just decided to make the switch, and it worked for her, and I thought it was a great story because it's just the perfect example of, like, taking what you have and really doing what you wanna do with it.
recently on social media, someone was taking their front living room and, I guess it's those squish combo rooms, but they were gonna take that whole space and make it into their laundry room.
I mean,
Isn't that crazy? But I get that feeling because my laundry is in the garage, and I still feel like I'm in college putting in quarters, doing my laundry. Like,
yeah,
I cannot stand it, Danielle, because the side door is right by the laundry machine, so when the gardener comes and blows all the leaves, it blows right
yeah.
even though we have
Oh,
the,
no.
windstorm whatever, mud flap, whatever those door
Yeah, yeah,
thingies are
yeah.
called.
The storm door
It's
thing.
still it's yeah, the dust and little leaves still come through every time I drop, and I have a beautiful vintage rug. I had redone like, I added
Yeah,
Rebecca Atwood wallpaper,
love
open
that.
shelving,
Yeah.
um, Like, it's a cute little space, but still it's in the garage.
Well, I think people are putting them more on the floors with their bedrooms, and of course, all houses are different. Some people have bedrooms on the first floor, but I think a lot of houses, it's on the second, and you see, if it isn't just if it's a two-level house, you're seeing laundry rooms go up the stairs, I think. And a lot more flexibility
Yeah.
with laundry in general. I feel like that was another KBiz thing. Everybody's got the ventless two-in-one machines that just need a water hookup and plug it into a regular socket. So there's a lot more flexibility, and if you want that right off your bedroom for whatever reason, go for it if you have the space and the means to do it, right?
My sister has it's almost a little you think it's overkill, but really it's not. She has laundry machine a stacked how do you say it? Stacked laundry machines? Yeah.
Yeah, a
Um,
laundry or a washer dryer combo, but stacked. Yeah.
in the boys' bathroom, okay, that was genius because for kids, there's constant laundry, constant
Yeah, yeah,
laundry.
yeah, of course.
And then they have one in their primary bathroom, bedroom area. So they have 2 sets upstairs.
Wow.
I know, she really loves it, huh?
In her laundry era. Okay.
Yes.
I love that. I
But
mean,
the convenience of, for them, they do a lot of laundry well, we all do a lot of laundry, I mean, that's one thing I do admire a lot is when now, some people are afraid of, like, leaks and flooding and things upstairs, which I guess is always a reality.
it's a possibility, but now they have all those, like, sensors you could put on it too, like, there are solves for seems like everything. The technology, I think, with appliances has come, like, such a long way. Yeah, but, like, again, there's always, like, a trade-off, or there's always a reason not to do it, but if it works for you and you can make it work and you're, like, willing to take whatever, like, little risk, or I guess risk big or small, that's associated with it.
Well, my next risk, you're gonna laugh, is another pet owner in the neighborhood. A friend told me she found a doggy door off of Amazon for glass sliding doors.
Oh, I don't even know what that would look like.
So it's if you can picture the glass sliding door, it's a glass panel that so you open the door to the width of whatever this doggy door width panel is, and so it goes all the way up, and
Oh,
you
okay.
just so the door is really technically
Like,
open,
open all the time kind of, but there's yeah.
but there's a glass panel and then the the doggy door on near the floor, but, like, where it would be. She puts a wooden stick on the other side of the French doors when they wanna lock it and stuff. That's gonna be my splurge.
Okay, cool, I can't wait to see it.
Because my 2 dogs wanna go outside all the time for no reason, and I want them to get fresh air, but I don't wanna always be the one we've trained them to put their little noses to bells.
Yeah. Oh, wow. No, but that's so smart. But are they doing it all the time?
So we're constantly hearing, like, reindeer bells, ding, ding, like Santa's coming. It's
Year round.
really it's
All
year-round, it's
day
really
and all
annoying.
night.
So that's gonna be my splurge. What do you think is your next splurge gonna be for your house?
Probably just maybe the couch doctor, but also probably just thinking through the bathroom, the downstairs bath, because I think it's a little bit smaller, and while I want my book bathroom dreams to come true, I feel like starting from this floor is probably smarter because more people will use that one. I wanna share all the good design with everyone who comes through the door. I just have to do the good design and figure it out, so,
Wouldn't
yeah.
you agree that the powder room or the downstairs bath is the hardest working bathroom?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's the place where most people are gonna go if they come in, right?
Like, even for us, it's even without guests, we're constantly using that bathroom. I always encourage people to see the powder room as not as an afterthought, but as a really important space.
Exactly. So that's where I wanna tackle it first, but it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge because it's small, and it does have a shower, and we don't wanna lose the shower. So it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
kind of a powder room slash it is a full bath, but it's powder room like sized, really and truly. So gotta figure it out.
Thank you, Danielle, for coming and spending some time with me. I know you're so busy all the time, so
Oh,
doing
no.
this and sharing your thoughts and heart with us is amazing. I want to just give you a sneak peek right now of the kitchen. Now, it's messy. So, I'm going to be this talk about relatable, but I wanted to show you cuz you know what it looks like. I'm just going to flip my
Oh, I think it's cute. Oh, you did on the range hood too.
Yes.
Oh, and your what's it called?
Fridge.
Your fridge, yeah.
And
Oh,
the
wow. You're
and
pattern
I'll
drenching. Is that a thing yet?
um, it now it is.
We're coining it.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
calling it
Danielle Anita has started a new trend. It's pattern
pat
drenching.
That's fun. I love the pattern. It's, like, dark in the back. Like, what is it, like, navy?
Dark navy,
Yep,
and the reason why I love it is because it has orange and lemon citrus patterns, and outside, my New York friends are so jealous because 'cause they're always like, "Ah, Anita, of course you have orange and lemon trees right outside your backyard."
I love that, though. Well, that's, like, a very, biophilic, like, bringing the outdoors in too with the patterns.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
send you some pictures, you tell me what you think up close.
Well, so far, I'm loving it.
Okay, good.
Tell your sister the pros have spoken. Well, you are a pro too.
No, but, like, apartment therapy, then she can't say anything.
There you go. Exactly.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Danielle. It's been so special. I hope you can come back sometime because we have so much more I feel like that we can talk about.
Totally. Thank you. Anytime.